Shifting focus now to Israel, it is in the grip of unrest once again. Tensions are rising in the West Bank. There are growing attacks in Tel Aviv. In the last 2 weeks, 13 people have died. Scores have been injured, and the violence was expected to subside during Ramadan, but that hasn't happened. Over the weekend, 5 more people lost their lives. Now, what explains this spate of violence? Our next report explores. 3 months into 2022, and Israel is on the edge once again. We're seeing a rerun of 2021. Tensions are rising in the West Bank. There are recurring attacks in Tel Aviv, and Jerusalem is in the grip of unrest. 13 people have died, scores have been injured. The situation is precarious. How did things get here? It all began on the 22nd of March. A Palestinian man killed 4 Israeli citizens. Then, on the 27th of March, 2 Israeli border police officials were killed. And on the 29th of March, 5 Israeli citizens were murdered near Tel Aviv. In all 3 cases, the attackers were killed by Israeli forces. The onset of Ramadan was expected to tone down tensions, but the opposite has happened. Last Friday, there was another attack, this time at a bar in Tel Aviv. A suspected Arab gunman killed 2 Israeli citizens. Within hours, he was traced down and shot dead.
During the night, hundreds of policemen were patrolling the streets of Tel Aviv to find the attacker. We went from one home to another, also on the roads. Around 5:20 a.m. in the morning, here at this site, the police spotted the terrorist. When he saw us, he opened fire on us. Then, we neutralized him.
The Israeli Prime Minister has described these attacks as a new wave of terror. He has promised to make the attackers pay and declared the beginning of a new offensive.
We will get wherever is needed, whenever, in order to cut off these acts of terror. The state of Israel has gone on the offensive.
And the offensive has indeed begun. On Sunday, 2 Palestinian women were shot dead in the West Bank. In a separate case, a 17-year-old teen was killed by Israeli soldiers. Israel says they were all perpetrators of terror. The Palestinians say the killings were an act of revenge. They've hit the streets to protest. Demonstrations are being held in Ramallah, Bethlehem, and Jenin.
نحو المواجهة. ما شهدناه خلال الأسبوعين الماضيين له عنوان واحد، هو المواجهة والدماء والضحايا وجرائم الاحتلال. هذه
As tensions escalate, so is the propaganda. Reports say the Palestinian social media has been flooded with messages calling upon people to pick up arms against Israel. Militant group Hamas has also sprung into action. It's issuing warnings to Israel, threatening rocket attacks. The timing couldn't be worse. 3 major religious festivals are overlapping this month: Ramadan, Easter, and Passover. Muslims, Christians, and Jews. They're all expected to hold processions in the days ahead. Israel is the powder keg. Wion now available.
Shalom, give all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yashah Bashim Rakakadash, the honors to the elders and apostles for the edification and knowledge. With the Wadi Bashim Yashah, in the spirit of the elders and apostles, we can become learned, regarding this truth and knowledge. Call Yahweh Bashim Yashah Bashim Rakakadash, give all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yashah Bashim Rakakadash. That was a Wion report relating to Israel and Palestinian tensions again. Let's go to Matthews. Matthew 24:6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. So that's what you're hearing. You're hearing of wars and you hear rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So all these things must come to pass. Hearing of wars, hearing rumors of wars, seeing these tensions between these different type of nations over a variety of different issues. That's a part of prophecy, man. But the end is not. But the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation. So you see the nations rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines. You see in famines, short supplies, supply shortages in different variety of different things, pestilence, plagues, and different calamities happen all over, earthquakes, and things happen in different places that normally wouldn't happen. So you're seeing all these things happen, man. These are part of prophecy, man. For example, it's lockdown in Shanghai, lockdown where people are forced to stay in their apartments, man. There's a video inside Edition talking about people were screaming in their apartments, man, being cramped up in there, man. And there's one article one of the brothers put that a resident or a tenant go outside of their balcony without a mask, they would be heavily fined, man. So that goes to that social credit risk, pretty much control, man. And they would take it out of they'd be fined because they're under that digital currency, the central banking digital currency. So they would be fined. So that was on one of the posts one of the brothers had. So one without a tenant without a mask on, they would get fined, man, because they supposed to be on lockdown, man. You go to 2nd Ezra talking about. Let me get it real quick after this. Before I get to that verse, though, let me just read this other one. All these are the beginnings of sorrow. So we in the beginnings of the latter beginnings of sorrows, man. Let me go to 2nd Ezra real quick. I'm going to restart at 14, now I'll get to that particular verse. Woe, which means a warning for destruction to the world and them that dwell therein. That's the inhabitants of the world. It's number 15. For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand to fight against another. So swords in their hand, modern day guns, weapons in their hand, one people against another. Isaiah 19 talk about the Egyptian versus the Egyptian, man. So for the swords in their hand and destruction draweth nigh, one people versus another people shall fight against one another with swords in their hands. The modern day sword is the gun, man. Or any form of weaponry, they can use one against another. So a group of people, one faction or section of people versus another section of people, man. Faction of people. For there shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard the kings nor princes, and the course of the action shall stand in their power, because they're going to take the course of action back in the powers of their hands, and they're not going to regard the kings and princes. That's civil unrest, protests. You're seeing a lot of that all over the world, man, continuously, man, over a variety of different issues, man. Number 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So a man shall desire to go in the city and shall not be able to, because they're going to be on lockdown, like Shanghai, man. They're on lockdown. People are forced to be in their apartments, for example, man. They can't go. Like I said, somebody posted relating to a tenant. If a tenant goes on their balcony or outside apartment without a mask, they're going to be fined, man. Heavily fined, man. So a man shall desire to go in the city, but shall not be able to go. A man shall desire to go into a city. So they're going to desire to go in the city, but can't because they're going to be on lockdown, and shall not be able. Number 18. For because of their pride, the city shall be in trouble, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid, because of the state and condition of the things that's happened. 2nd Ezra 8:50. For many great miseries going to be done into the latter times, because they walk great in pride. That pride is causing these calamities, these troubles, man, upon these people, man, because of the pride and the wickedness that's been increasing on earth, man. That's why these things are coming upon them, man. These miseries, these pestilence, these different things. The Lord is allowing to visit. The Lord is visiting the earth which He has made, man. So He's visiting. His visitation relates to these forms of judgments because of the wickedness. Scripture talks about Psalm 7 and I believe 7 and 11. The Lord is angry at the wicked every day, man. Why He's angry at the wicked? Because first of all, they're in a position of power, and number two, because of the level of wickedness that's been increasing because of them being in power. But earth has been given to the hands of the wicked, man. Psalms 19. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods. That's home invasion. Private, public entity, man. You're going to see that it's going to happen, man. This is a part of prophecy. All these things are part of prophecy. Because of a lack of bread, famine, food shortages. There's a thing, there are baby formula shortages, man, for example, man. So food, that means food rationing out to, you only get a certain amount by what? The government and the military, which controls that. So you food ration, which means it's going to cause panic shopping, man, among these people. Remember the toilet paper and the paper towels, man, how the people freaked out on that. So we coming into times where the supply shortages of different things. It's going to be a great demand, but limited supply, man. You know, so we seeing these things coming to pass, man. Let me get 2nd Ezra 16. I'll complement with that scripture. I believe it's 6. Because on lockdown, you know, they will not be able to go from place to place. They're going to be on lockdown. Let me just find it real quick. Here we go. So that one man shall desire to see another and to hear his voice. So a man or a woman are going to desire to see another and to hear his voice. They're not going to be able to do that. Lack of communication. Communication is going to be cut. Also, going to and fro is going to be cut because you're going to be on lockdown. You know, so they're going to desire to see. So that will complement with second Ezra 15 and 17. related to a lockdown. So you're seeing these tensions between Israel and Palestine, which have been going on for decades, for centuries. So hearing of wars and rumors of wars, the tensions between Ukraine, Russia, these other nations building tensions, Taiwan, China, U.S., the European nations, these other nations that really don't want to get involved, but are involved in some way, directly, indirectly, because it's affecting their political collective interest. So all these nations, the tensions are building on these nations, man. Let me go to Isaiah 19. I quoted that earlier. (19:2). I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptian. That means the modern day citizen versus the modern day citizen. And they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor. That division. Think not that I come to send peace on earth, but nay, but a sword, man. I come not to send peace, but a sword. So that division is going to be set upon the people, man. And when there's no food and different things that they're going through, regarding, according to prophecy, these people are going to go nuts, man, especially in Babylon, which is AKA here, America, man, because these people never went through these things, man, and you can't prepare for something you never experience, you never experience in a lifetime, in a generation of lifetimes, man, through different bodies and different spirits, if you can understand that, man. So these things you can't prepare for. This is, these are beyond what we can understand, man. So this is spiritual matters. Let's read it again, 19:2. And I will set the Egyptian against Egyptian, and they shall fight everyone against his brother and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, kingdom against kingdom, kingdom against kingdom, city against city, neighbor against neighbor. So that vision is being set forth, man. That's 19:2. Think not that already the fire be kindled. So that fire is being set forth. That fire is being set forth, man. Because a lot of people don't realize what happened in these overseas countries can happen here, man. It's not that invincible here where the possibility of these things that happen in these other countries can happen here. According to prophecy, it will happen here, man. (1249). I come to send fire on earth, and what will I if it already be kindled? So the fire is already being kindled. The fire of the sword, the fire of the division, the fire, the physical fires is already being set forth, man. Suppose yet that I come to give peace on earth, I tell you nay. No, there's no peace on earth. The Lord's causing division, man. But rather division, man. From henceforth there shall be 5 in one house divided, and 3 divided in 2 and 2 and 3. And that goes with the household, man. A man's own household, and a man's own household will be his enemies, man. A man's own household will be his, let me get it. A man's, Shalakia. And I'll read the rest. Number 53. I kind of butcher up Shalak on that. The father shall be divided against the son, and the son against the father, and the mother against the daughter, and the daughter against the mother-in-law against the daughter-in-law, and the daughter-in-law against the mother-in-law. So that's the division within the ranks of the family, man. Behind closed doors. That division, that's part of that division, where your own household will be your enemies, man. Let's get Matthew's this will be the last one. Get it from the top. Think not that I come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace but a sword. So the Lord is telling you, he's sending a sword relating to that division and judgment upon. For I am come to set a variance against the father. So that division, man, that's that divide. And a daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. So it's not going to be happy times in the family, man. It's going to be division in those times. And a man's foe shall be what? Of his own household. So a man's foes will be of his own household, because many family friends are going to betray in those times, man. It's going to be bad times, perilous times, which goes to bad times, man. They're going to betray, man. Especially when the society is not going to be looking like this, as calm as this, man. You're going to see your real friends that day, man. The ones that are, so-called real friends that day, because while everything is good, they're your friends, but as soon as things go bad, basically the characteristic and traits of these people are going to turn real quick, like Bill Bixby turns to the Hawk, man. So this is something short. Something short relating to that video. Hope it helps. This is Brother Zayah, which means wolf. I'll give all praise to Yahweh, Bashim Yahshua, Bashim Rakakadash. Shalom, thanks.